I wanted to mention that I did get the jab, the vaccine. I've got both of them. Um, I'm immune compromised, being diabetic. But I know many people who have not taken the vaccine. And the truth is, I guess it's called a leaky vaccine, so it's not necessarily as safe as possible. And one of the arguments is that um, if they want this disease to stop mutating, they will get the vaccine because they say it helps stop the mutation. And then I look at news from Israel, and a very large population of their country has gotten the vaccine, and they still have still the virus. Now, there are people who say herd immunity treats human beings like animals, and we are not animals, we are not livestock. And we don't want to be treating human beings like they're animals. I don't know. Sometimes to do things that are safe, you do things that are similar to animals. Not always, but as far as science and other stuff, I don't know. All I know is that we're being heavily censored, and it seems very much that we lack a lot of leadership. I mean, Biden wants everyone to get the vaccine. At the same time, he is encouraged mass migration. Won't that exacerbate the problem? And if you're trying to get everyone vaccinated so the disease does not mutate, and we're supposedly stretched thin, our ICU beds, from what you say, are full to capacity, won't that exacerbate the problem that we're going through now? Aren't we in a state of emergency and regular rules about about migration and about refugee status? Do they not apply right now? I was debating someone on Twitter, and she said that the president signing an executive order closing the border would be against the 1980 Refugee Act. Do we ever debate the Refugee Act really heavily? Do we ever debate birthright citizenship? Are Americans in favor of birthright citizenship? If you have two parents that are illegal and they have a child, is that child to be rewarded for the parents breaking the law? It doesn't make sense, but there it is. They say you're punishing the child, but children get punished when their parents do drugs. They're often taken out of the home and put into foster care, which is, I think, worse than living in a third world country, actually. I think it does far more. I think that there might be evidence that the foster care system in America does far more damage than than the third world. I could be wrong on that, but there's a lot of psychological damage done by people who live in our foster care system. And it's also watching, I forget his Ian Rez, I think, but and I think they were dealing with a mask mandate or something else. But there was a couple of Antifa protesters and Black Lives Matter protesters, and both were shouting. And at some point, one was shouting, and they were acting kind of creepy. The Antifa group was acting kind of creepy and vicious. Um, I think you have to come to the mind that you're not going to convince them of anything, because the guy started talking about um, what Malcolm X said about white liberals. It's a waste of time, in my opinion. This person has his own self-interest. He's an egotist at best, a narcissist at worst. And he gets it was a black gentleman, by the way, but who was debating and arguing. I might show this video later on, maybe on another channel, but he was arguing with, I believe he was either a Black Lives Matter supporter and perhaps even Antifa, but he was threatening to kick the white guy's ass. Like, we'll meet later when the police aren't at town. Come back around tomorrow or whatever. And then the guy said, Google what Malcolm X said about white liberals. It's a waste of time. Waste of time. That man gets his narcissistic supply from white liberals. All those white liberals worship this guy. They love it. So he loves it. He's not going to he's not going to stop being fetishized by those people. You're wasting your time. But they were really creepy and really kind of vile. But um, it surprises me, and I shouldn't be surprised how vicious and how vile they are, and how unfair they are anymore. Like it kind of shocked me, and there are times like I want to defend myself and retaliate, but I also know I should also keep in mind that that is the way these people are, and you're not gonna change them. And it's an uphill battle. You're not. It's kind of a. I'm just thinking. Uh, I have ideas, but I don't know how effective they're going to be. I mean, certainly, I could be angry and scream, but that's not going to do any good. Even if it's the truth, the manner in which you choose to do it isn't going to do any good. And you do no good debating individuals like they were trying to debate or have a discussion with groups like Antifa and people who are really strongly BLM. That's on average not a good idea. You want to talk to people who are kind of on your side because they'll hear you and they'll listen to you. And I think the best thing is realize that this is an economic Cold War. And you have to deal with things on an economic level. I think there are those that realize that. Um, and, this is also technology, and the left controls the technological sphere. They control the social media sphere, right, wrong, or indifferent. I learned from my father that might doesn't make right, it just makes the rules. And they seem to be being very shady, and you can sit there and be angry about it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the power to, of the purse strings, you're not going to change anybody. And that's where you hurt people the most. You can fight a few people and maybe even win, but you make change through the purse strings, through the money. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and thank you for listening.